To define the swept path, I'm going to use the AutoDrive tool from the swept path panel. The first thing I need to do is specify my standard starting orientation and position my vehicle. It will prompt me to a command line to do this, so I'll pick a location where I want my vehicle swept path to begin. Once I pick the start point, then I can swivel the vehicle to define the forward driving direction. So I'm going to try to align it the best I can to do the center line of my road. It will bring up the position vehicle dialog box. In this dialog box, it will show me the default vehicle that I had selected previously. If I need to change this, I can get access to the vehicle library. If I need to change the vehicle orientation, I can use the tools here inside of the dialog. For example, if I need to move it, I can simply move it on screen. If I need to rotate it or realign it, I can use this tool to rotate it. When I rotate the item, if I rotate it incorrectly, I just go right back to it again and specify my rotation angle. If I need to change the view like zoom in or zoom out, I can do that right from the inside of the dialog box. But once the vehicle is positioned properly, I can proceed on with my path creation. Now using the AutoDrive command, it will bring up an AutoDrive toolbar. On this toolbar or dialog box, I can toggle on overrides as I go through the command. What I would like to do here is just specify some target points for my swept path. You will see on screen there is some graphical cues that I have. The things that are visible on my screen are construction lines and then some of the report options that I have turned on my inside vehicle properties. To define my search path, I can start picking some points on the screen. Because I'm in the arc auto drive, everything that I pick on screen is going to move right into the arc mode. I can pick this location, these target points on the screen to specify specific pass through location for my vehicle paths. You will see that every time I pick a target point, there is a cyan X that marks this as inside of my path. I can later use that to edit the target point. If I need to specify a specific bearing for my path, I can use the dialog box to toggle on the option to turn on the bearing. Then, if I want to pick something from the drawing, I can use pick alignment and then I can tag it from the drawing. I can move my cursor along that item and it will parallel the item that I selected on screen. This makes it easier for me to construct along a straight line. So I can keep bearing in my drawing file just by extending the cursor to that location where I want to add another target point. To add a target point at that location, I can simply click in my drawing file. I want to get the target point as close as I can to the center line, and before I get into my curve area, so I'm going to pick a point. You'll notice that I'm a point where I have to navigate through tough curve. So I'm going to move my cursor inside the drawing, and you can see right here at the angles that I have available to me are defined with inside of the vehicle properties. What I need to do is I need to turn on a bearing. So I'm going to toggle on the option called pick alignment, and I'm going to turn on into the bearing of this curve line of the opposite side of this turn. On my screen, I can see some graphical elements that will help me make sure that I have picked some of the target points correctly here. I will see the green line on the outer side of my vehicles, including indicating the vehicle outline, and the red line shows me my tire paths along the swept path. What I would like to do is specify a target point that keeps my tires inside of my curve without going up to the curve. So I'm going to move my vehicle into this location, making sure the red lines are just inside of my curve lines. I'm going to go ahead, pick that location to define that target point. Now I can see that the back end of my vehicle is following over top of the island, but I'm going to address that later with an overturn. But for right now, I'm going to focus on just front side of the vehicle. I'm going to continue with my path of my vehicle to get it into the parking area. I can leave the option to turn on to bearing and I can move it freehand into my drawing file to position my vehicle in the drawing. What I want to do is get the vehicle inside of my drawing area so that I can back it up. I'm gonna move it into the drawing area. I have the whole space for just to get it here so I can back it into the service bay. So I'm gonna pick a location right here to define my path. Now I have all of my forward movement defined for this vehicle path. And when I'm done, I can press enter. On my screen, I'm going to see all of the graphics that are turned on in my vehicle properties. I'm going to see some of the reporting options which are showing me my body outline and my tire path. and I'm going to see some of my vehicle outline information, which again are defined in the properties that I am using inside of my reports. What I would like to do is now is extend this path. I can extend the path with one movement just by clicking on it and using the grips. There is a tool here that allow me to extend into the drive mode. Go into the R function or I can extend it inside a forward direction using bearing option. What I would like to do though is add a couple different movements in reverse fashion or basically in reverse direction. So I'm going to pre-select the vehicle path from the drawing, come up here to the auto drive and select auto drive again. It will take me into the toolbar where now I can use some of the commands that I showed up previously. What I want to do now is back into the service bay right here, but I want it to be basically parallel or fit right in the bay. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to pick the alignment option and I'm going to toggle from the drawing. I'm going to pick a location inside of that bay and I'm going to see on screen that my graphics seem to work for the turn angles that we have here. I'm going to pick inside of that bay. I will left click and now I can press enter because I have defined my backward movement or my reverse movement for the vehicle. So now what I have in my drawing file is a vehicle path defined just the way that I wanted it and entering from this access road and turning it to the parking area and backing it into the bay.